One more time for Chris Coen. Give it up for him. Well, you guys want to make fun of me now? Yeah. Seriously? You do? That badly, huh? Oh, come on. All right, we'll do it. But one more thing. We got to do one more thing. It's my 21st birthday. A lot of you know I've never had a drink or tasted alcohol before, ever. I guess I should start now, right? Yeah? You think I should start now? Well, here to help me to start now is our sound guy. He helped us run the show. Please give it up for Adrian X for giving me my first drink of the night and of my life. Cheers, everybody. Drink this shit. It's like piss. Go fuck yourselves. All right, coming up with me to join me while I'm taking all this abuse is a really good friend of mine. Her name is Ember Ollom. Come up here, Ember. She's gonna eat gummy bears with me and make me feel like she actually cares. But are you guys ready to start this roast? Well, the guy here to host this roast is one of my best friends ever. I can't think of anyone better to make me feel like shit. So please give it up for Mr. Dave Burkey, everyone.
That's not gonna work. Could you have taken that like more of a bitch? I went to a gas station and got fucking sweet tea for you to drink. You are the biggest pussy. Before I start, I just want to say thank you all for coming out. Give it up for Stephanie behind the bar. We already saw Adrian running sound. Adrian actually, he had a little appointment with a therapist recently. His therapist asked him not to wear any more Nike apparel because apparently, like, he just can't handle anything saying "just do it." I don't know. No, but it's great to be here, you guys, in a room full of so many people who have also seen my wife's tits. But yeah, guys, the roast of Brian Doney. I know what you're thinking. Why? Why? I don't know either, but alas, here we are, celebrating the life and very minor accomplishments of a petulant child. You know, he does have a sidekick here. He has Ember. If you guys don't know, Ember is Danny Stratton's girlfriend. Now, I don't know a lot about you, but it does seem like there's only really one prerequisite to date you. It's to be named some variation of Dan and you just need to be named some kind of Dan and just be creepy as fuck. If there's anybody in the crowd tonight named Daniel and you're on a sex offender list, look out, you're next. But no, we need to get back to Brian. He's the reason we're here. I'm gonna be hard on him, but I feel bad about it. Because, you guys, Brian's had a hard life. Brian's mother committed suicide when he was 14 years old. You people are shit. But no, most people would find themselves saying, "That's so sad. she's never going to get to see the man that he will become. And like, it's 7 years later, and honestly, I kind of admire her foresight. Jesus Christ. Fucking look at him! That Hitler Youth haircut, paperclip necklace, a lightsaber on his belt. The only thing missing from Brian's ensemble is a shotgun and screaming high school students. I will say though, I've joked a lot with Brian about the fact that I think that he's autistic. But you guys, Brian, I know you're not autistic. People with autism are usually gifted at something. Anything. Brian also, you guys may know this, he has a podcast called 5 Minutes or Less, in which he calls and asks pizza places to deliver in 5 minutes. I personally feel like that's very unreasonable, Brian. You've never delivered anything good in 5 minutes. I will say though, I've already addressed your first drink, but I do think you should have had an O'Doul's. Because I feel like that's the perfect representation of Brian's comedy. It leaves a bad taste in your mouth, and at the end, it was really a waste of fucking time. My next card just says, say something nice. So I guess I will. Brian, you're a great friend. You've watched my dogs. You've helped me many, many times. I love you. Please don't ever change. Just maybe get a little better. All right. I'm going to bring up our first roaster of the evening, everybody. We've got Nick Glaser. Yeah. You can stand here and take this. I'm going to talk about you for a second. Earlier this year, everybody, Nick attempted to break the internet with a nude photo of himself.
Punish the internet.
Well, shit.
Break.
But no, the internet at this point is still standing, but he did break any inclination I may have had that I was gay. Nick also, earlier this year, he attempted and teased us with the perfect joke. And it just went to show for Nick that his best joke is one that he doesn't tell. Ladies and gentlemen, Nick Glaser.
Turn it again for Dave Burkey, hosting this shit, making a lot of fun. Now, I am doing my notes on my phone instead of note cards because I'm environmentally conscious. Okay, really, I'm just too lazy to buy note cards. But now every time you see somebody else come up here with paper, you're gonna see that's a goddamn tree killer. Everybody else around me, these are the bad guys from Fern Gully. That's a great part about going first. I can't do like the really harsh burns, but I can set the tone and just let you guys know how terrible these people are while you're sober, and they don't get to respond until you're too drunk to realize if they make any good points. It's pretty awesome. Yeah. So we got Dave Burkey as our roast master. I feel bad for Dave. I really do feel bad for Dave. There's some things that no self-respecting person should ever say. So he has to say all of them. He has the attitude of a broken man and the wife of a man who likes being broken. What I'm saying is that Dave can't get off without being slapped around a little bit, and that's why this roast is overcooked. I mean overbooked. Overbooked. There's too many people here. Speaking of too many people here, Ember Ollom is on stage for some reason. Give it up for her. She's the Toasty Roast co-host, which means she is an attention whore who wants to be on stage even though she isn't funny. And she knows Brian will do whatever she says because he really wants to fuck her and never will. Never will. She is actually a very good person, though. In fact, the worst thing I can say about her is that she designed the t-shirt that I'm wearing. And if you look around the room, you'll see it's actually quite ugly when it's not on me. What else we got here? We got Adrian X is hosting Toasty Karaoke after this. I'm not going to stick around for that. Not going to. It's not because I don't like Adrian's karaoke. He's a great karaoke host. I just hate his personality. I also don't want to hear a drunk Brian Doney sing songs he doesn't know. Actually, on second thought, that sounds kind of awesome. I might have just talked myself into staying if I didn't really hate Adrian's personality. Tyler Brunetti is here for a change. Tyler doesn't look like a comedian. He has the look of a college business prodigy who beat out 1,000 applicants for an ultra-prestigious job, but then got fired on the first week because he forgot to lose the golf game to the other company's CEO. Yeah. But he wasn't good enough at golf to go pro, so he just gave up on life and started talking about his insecurities on stage. On second thought, he looks exactly like a comedian. Ian Miller. Ian Miller, where you at, buddy? You're around here somewhere, aren't you? There he is. Ian Miller overcame severe adversity to be here tonight, folks, if you consider tiny balls an adversity. I've never actually seen his balls, but I have seen his old car and the vanity plate on that car, and they both said, "Don't look at my tiny, tiny balls." I haven't seen his new car, but I have to assume it's a Hummer with a lift kit and a gun rack. And a vanity plate that says, "No, but seriously, don't look at my tiny balls." Chad Jewell is here because Ian Miller is here, and that's how it works. I feel like I have to burn Chad to a crisp because everybody else is going to be afraid of potential roid rage. So I wrote a great line hoping he'd wear one of his rock band t-shirts, but he didn't. He showed up wearing that instead. He looks like a real-life game of Where's Walbro. Thankfully, Chris Coen stepped up and wore his GNR shirt, so I'll be able to use that line for him later, which is good because I didn't really write much. Let's see. Sommer Sterud is here, which is as much of a letdown for her as it is for us. She tries to be so respectable. She tries to be a respectable member of polite society. She dresses nice. She drinks wine. She's actually a college professor, folks. She's really good at pretending to be successful, and it must even seem true to her for a while. And then every once in a while, she gets booked to a show like this. She's forced to remember that we are her contemporaries. If it's any consolation, all the great classics were written by terrible people too, so you may yet have your shot. Erik Tait, my best friend in the world, is here. He's as committed to every bit he does as anybody I have ever seen, folks. For example, last month, he put up a Craigslist misconnection entitled "Orange Hat with a Big Beard in My Heart." My immediate reaction to this post was to text him the picture and say, "Hey, I think this is you trying to catfish me." And he still continued to joke, folks! To this day, he has yet to admit that that is him. So I'm playing along. We have a date next Thursday. Yeah. And I'm gonna fuck him. Stratton is proof that there is no God. Because if there was an omnibenevolent, omnipotent creator out there, every single person on the fucking earth would be Doney Stratton, folks. He is the perfect human being. Just like the guitar that was named after him, he just makes beautiful music in any genre. He's there's nothing wrong with this guy. I know it's a roast, you're supposed to burn people. This man is fireproof, folks. He is one innocent soul in this group of shameful dregs of society, and we should all count ourselves lucky to be near him. It's a real shame about his face. Tyler Major was on the bill, but I don't see him. Is he here? No? Can I make fun of him anyways?
Sure, he disappeared. Fuck him.
Sweet, fuck him. Tyler Major puts the boo in weeaboo. Yeah. If you don't know what that word means, it means you're a better person than everybody that does. Tyler's comedy reminds me of baseball because I haven't seen it in a very long time, and thinking about it makes it hard to ejaculate. Natalie Cuevas. Natalie is so ratchet that she has to give Jack Nicholson medication twice a day. I like how Brian laughed like he got that. I knew nobody would get that reference, but it's fucking brilliant, you uncultured pigs. I said it anyways. Natalie is eating for two now, which is appropriate because she'd been drinking for two ever since I've known her. Which is so I'd like to take the opportunity to be the first one to roast Fetus Burkey. Now he or she hasn't actually done anything wrong yet, but that's just a technicality. He or she is definitely going to be a little Hellraiser. And by that I mean the sadomasochistic demon in the movie Hellraiser. Now it's actually kind of cool to think that I might have just been the first person to roast the world's next great supervillain. It's awesome. Gilli's here, right? Gilli? Where you at, Gilli? He's out in the back. He's out smoking. It's okay, you know. There he is! Hey, Gilli. Don't ever tell Gilli any secrets unless you want the three people that understand him to know it too. This man loves to talk. He's like the Ozzy Osbourne minus the good Black Sabbath years. The only thing louder than Gilli's mouth are his clothes, and I don't mean that they're colorful. Yeah. The upshot, of course, is that he is a great storyteller, and he's incredibly comfortable on stage. I swear he's going to be one of the next great comedians if he ever learns English. That's why you should all be reacting to everything I say. Becky Brown is really hard to roast because she doesn't do much interesting. She's basically a soccer mom who likes to talk about whale dicks. But that just happens to be a popular fetish among local comedy audiences. And whales. Wonder Doug is going to be here, isn't he?
Yeah, around 9:30.
He's going to be here later. Is this being videotaped? Can we see it later?
Yeah.
Cool.
It's 9:28, so give it 2 minutes.
Okay.
And an hour and a half.
Wonder Doug has been at every roast we've ever done here at the Shrunken Head. And I'm beginning to think if he was actually invited to any of them. Seriously, I don't know, have you ever actually seen him before? Like, you're not in the same room right now. It's been so long since I've seen Wonder Doug and Brian Doney in the same room that I was beginning to think that he was the teetotaling Bruce Wayne to Wonder Doug's outlandishly gay Batman. No, seriously, he's not the homo we need right now. He's the homo we deserve. Because we are terrible people who deserve the worst things that life has to offer. Speaking of secret identities, I just realized today that Dave Burkey and Chris Coen are different people. Yeah. I thought Chris had put on glasses and adopted a new persona to escape his country roots, but he didn't. Yeah, I can tell by your shirt that I like your taste in music, but I hate your taste in politics, and beer, and shirts. Yeah. Tyler Stewart, you saw earlier, he was a fun Monday. Tyler Stewart drove all the way up here from Chilla Coffee and dressed up just for this non-paying show because he's in high demand and his time is valuable. He likes to sing in his act because he knows that he's what would have happened if Kurt Cobain hadn't been cursed with all that talent. There's a couple people left. Jameson Rogers has a comedy superpower. Because, and this is actually true, every time he goes on stage, sales of Jameson whiskey go up. Yeah, because people hear his name and they think, hey, I want my next drink to be a Jameson. And then they hear his voice and they think, hey, I want my next drink to be right now. If his name were Heroin Rogers, we'd all have gone the way of Philip Seymour Hoffman by now. Last and least, we got Brian Doney, folks. Brian, when I first saw you perform, I worried that you would notice my laughs were disingenuous and shoot up the room. But now, years later, after what feels like sharing thousands of stages with you, I gotta say, my fake laugh is on point. Any casual observer would think I actually like his material. But in all seriousness, Brian, you don't have a lot going for you. You have no natural talent, you're not much to look at, and you have almost no idea how the world works. This is exactly why so many of us comedians look at you and see a younger version of ourselves. And without exception, we wish that we had half of your enthusiasm and your passion at your age. I've said it before and I will say it again, folks, if only one person from this town ever makes it as a successful comedian, it's gonna be Brian Doney. I love you, buddy. Happy birthday.
Give it up one more time for the Gordon's Fishermen, everybody. I haven't been drinking tonight. Your next roaster coming to the stage is Tyler Brunetti. If anybody knows who the fuck Tyler Brunetti is, please tell him it's his turn to come on stage.
Thanks. That was not deserved at all. Brian, look at you. Did you not get made fun of enough in high school? Fuck you. Oh man. You look like if Donald Trump had parents that didn't love him. Oh man. Would you believe that this guy works at Abercrombie and Fitch? Every man has his price, and his was as low as it legally can fucking go. What a piece of shit. No. I remember the first time I was ever brought onto a road gig was because Brian Doney told me that we were going to go to the magical land of Lima. Yeah. And I thought this was such a big deal. The first time I'm out on the road, and he goes, yeah, I got a lot of pull in Lima. Piece of shit. I show up there, and every person looks like they want to kill themselves. And then I look at Brian Doney and realize why he has such pull. They think that Brian will do it for them. Look guys, this show is way overbooked. I just want to do a couple of jokes. And then tell Brian, he's a good guy. First time I came up on this stage, I got 0 laughs. Bombed completely. But I still had his crappy laugh in the background. This is an actual reenactment, folks. And then afterwards, he came up to me after the open mic that he was so excited about, and told me to keep at it. So I've been doing this for 9 months, and I fucking shouldn't have. So thanks, Brian. I'm done. That's why I shouldn't be doing this.
That's why we can't have nice things.
Give it up for that guy. All right, everybody. Your next roaster coming to the stage is a Mr. Ian Miller. Now, in my opinion, Ian looks exactly like why your 3rd grade teacher told you not to look into the solar eclipse. Are you Asian? Are you high? I don't know. Like, there was a saying in war, don't shoot until you see the whites of their eyes. I feel like Ian Miller could have walked up to everyone and stabbed them to death in the Revolutionary War. Please give it up for the very mean Ian Miller.
A lot of people have note cards or a phone. Wasn't really down for putting that much effort into Doney, so we're just gonna see how this goes. I've written literally nothing. I just hate all of you, and we're gonna see how far that gets me. We got the roast master, Dave Burkey. He's looking good, getting strong. Probably just because he's full of rage and upset with the fact that his wife keeps fucking everyone else that's not him. He's gonna be a dad soon. To an alcoholic wife that just got out of the mental ward, and Dave Burkey. I assume as soon as she finishes pushing, child services is just gonna take it and be like, it's ours now. Natalie, I'm actually not gonna make any more fun of you because you're too easy. And by that I mean both your life's a fucking disaster and you're kind of a whore, and I don't want to ruin my chances of sleeping with you after Dave eventually loses his shit, hits you, and I end up picking you up and taking you back to my place. It's not an if, folks, it's a when. I'm not that mean. Remember that time Dave made fun of Doney's mom? I'm the least, in the second, I mean. He's generally more of a piece of shit. Nick Glaser is here. Great host of the first and best open mic that I ever went to. First open mic was here. Still my favorite open mic. Definitely not Doney's piece of shit. That's fucking awful. But Nick, I love Nick. He's an actor, and I can get why he's a great actor, because he's the master of the cliffhanger. He was like, guys, just wait till I get to the finals and I'll tell you the world's greatest joke. Still waiting. Sommer Sterud's here. She's a funnier but less hot Nikki Winkleman. So you got that. Apparently she was busy. Dorian, sit down. You're just an example of no matter how hard you work, you can't teach funny. And so is Erik Tait's comedy degree. So that's right. Still hate all of you. Who else we got? I didn't even look. Do you have a list of people that are gonna be up? Because I know literally nothing about this. Apparently Dorian's not gonna be on the show. Wonder Dog's not here. He's late. That's good. Chris Coen, never met him, he seemed pretty funny. Danny Stratton's here, everybody. Danny Stratton, he's funny as shit, and it's Burkey was talking about earlier. Autistic people generally have that one talent. That one talent. It's not handicapped, alright guys, it's handy-capable. Let's keep it real. Who else? I'm just looking out for people. Got the weird bitch with the hiccups here. That's cool. Got the redhead that talks about pooping. That's fun. Right there, Laura Granger is her name. Chad Jewell's here. How could I forget Chad Jewell was here? I drove him. I am literally always high. Chad Jewell's here. Chad Jewell, one time, he and I do a lot of stuff together, as Nick said. One time, somebody compared us to Seth Rogen and James Franco, and he was just fucking ecstatic about it. Chad loved that shit. And I do too, as long as Chad remembers that he's the pretty one and I'm the funny one. He's also my landlord, so if that made him too mad, I will be literally homeless by the time the show's over. Gilli's here, and definitely outside smoking weed. I thought that door opened and it smells like weed now. So that was cool. Becky Brown's here, everybody. It's literally all I have for her. Who else we got? Got a couple guys outside. You guys want to come in and get made fun of? Come on. I guess all I can. Jay Cokes is here. Scares the shit out of me, so he gets a pass. I one time said out loud, like I'm very cocky. I one time out loud said that like I could beat up 90% of the people that I meet, and as I said that I was looking at Jay Cokes, and that's why I didn't say anyone I could meet. That leaves just you, but I'm not going to talk about you because you're basically useless. So you, and I basically was like being nice. Doney, you are a worthless piece of shit, and the only person I know that's more arrogant than me. You're throwing your own roast. Everyone's gonna talk about that because it's a douchey thing to do. That's like giving yourself your own nickname, like a rapper that gives himself a funny nickname. But if you tried to do that, it wouldn't be a funny nickname because you fucking wrote it. It's a roast, and he's not funny. God damn it, people. I was gonna make fun of your mom having killed herself, but I made fun of Dave making fun of that, so now I seem like a hypocrite. So I'm not gonna do that anymore. Yeah. There's a phrase called "a face only a mother could love." Should have had a better face, Brian. I'm going to hell. That's it. I'm done. Going to hell. Literally, they can see me in that. Oh my god, I feel so awful. I'm actually like now sweating and my heart is beating. I am so sorry. Oh my god. No, I really am sorry because no, I'm not. Because you did hold this roast. Your idea of like, hey, what should I do for my 21st birthday? I know what I'll do. I'll get a bunch of people that are pretty depressed and have them be real mean to each other. And then I'll start drinking and look at all the horrible alcoholics that I hang out with. The first 21 years were great, weren't they, Brian? Just coast on those. And let's hope you can finish college. I'm betting no. But really, like, I do love you. I love you. You're a shining example of the fact of like the attitude that we all need. You are a cloud of positive energy and you rub off on everybody. Thank you very much for being such an awesome person and have a great birthday.
All right, well, I feel better. All right, guys, your next roaster coming to the stage is Sommer Sterud. She is a published poet, a college professor, and a member of this shit show. Is this what rock bottom looks like? That's a yes. Now, I don't want to be too mean. Sommer did go through a very public breakup recently. And I've got to say, that was the shortest engagement I've seen since you canceled on dinner earlier tonight. Everybody, Sommer Sterud.
Hang on a minute. Hang on. I feel like I agree. Like, why do the most insecure people want to participate in roasts? Is this some weird suicide pact that we have? It's just like, but there's a code, right? There's a comics code. You can say anything if it's funny and true. The sad thing that most of this isn't funny, but all of it's true, which is the saddest part. Okay, I want to start with the Burkeys. Congratulations. I want to say congratulations. They're having a baby, right? They're pregnant. Yeah. They are bringing a new life. They're bringing a human being into the world, right? because they ran out of human beings to bring into their sex life. Like, if adopting 42 dogs and Brian Doney isn't saving your marriage, I'm pretty sure a baby's not going to. I'm really excited though. I can't wait I really can't wait. I'm excited for them. I'm taking a baby poll. You know how like you can bet money on the weight of the baby and like the sex. And then also, which of Natalie's girlfriends is gonna be the doula? My money is on Lauren Benkaz. She's gonna be the midwife. I think, that wasn't funny, you guys? I thought, alright, look. Oh, okay. Erik Tait, where the fuck did he go? Where is he? Did he leave? Oh, there you are. Hi. I have such a crush on you, Erik. You're so talented. You have a full-time job, you perform magic, tell jokes. You're like the pimp of burlesque dancers. You're like, I don't know, I feel like I'd be really intimidated to actually be in a relationship with you because you're adventurous. You wear costumes in the bedroom, right? But I guess you have to, if you're not gonna give a girl an orgasm, you gotta give her a good show, right? Right? Gotta do that. This is starting to feel natural. What do you mean? I like it. Dorian, he wasn't able to be with us today. He's not gonna be on this roast. Give it up for that. He has another gig out of town, being the creepy guy in the back looming, you know. Sorry, Dorian. Wonder Doug, is he here yet?
No.
Wonder Doug. I love Wonder Doug. I think his name is super apropos, right? His name, Wonder Doug, because every time I see him post on Facebook, I wonder when Doug's gonna fucking stop whining. Life is so hard. I might die. Becky Brown. Becky Brown is here. I think where is she? I gotta look at her. I love her. She's super funny on stage. I can't tell if she's really good at acting drunk or doing a terrible or really bad at impersonating Bill Cosby. I feel like Becky, when she was born, you know how some women suck on ice cubes while they're giving birth? Her mom sucked on sugar cubes of acid. Danny Stratton. Love you, Danny. There really is not much wrong with you, right? Like, you're so good, but I can't believe it. You don't drink, have you ever tried beer? No. Never a beer, never had sushi, you don't like weird foods. You will not try new things unless that new thing is your roommate's girlfriend. Man. All right, I'm gonna turn my attention to the man of the hour, Brian. Brian, you know, how many orgasms have you had on stage so far? How many times have you come in your pants tonight? You're so excited. I first met Brian, he in my college creative writing class. He wasn't enrolled, he was just masturbating in the corner. Just for like 15 weeks. Just like, get out of here. Brian he wears a lightsaber, right? Because legend has it, that was the thing he was holding when he realized his dream of being a stand-up comic, right? But that's not really what he was holding. But he couldn't very well strap a dick to his belt, right? His own, I don't know. He was adopted, they say he was adopted by the Burkeys, right? He was adopted by the Burkeys, which it makes a lot of sense, because Freud says that every man wants to fuck his mother. If he was adopted by Natalie, that would be her. That would be her. And he's always wanted to have several canine brothers and sisters. I know. I love you, Brian. I had a hard time writing shitty stuff about you. That's why I spent most of my time on these assholes. So, You're the best. I really can't say enough good things about you. I love you. I hope you're having a great birthday. All right. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, everybody, I have dogs. Go fuck yourselves. Our next roaster is a treat, everybody. He is actually just days away from entering the Guinness Book of World Records for the longest feat of endurance. Mr. Erik Tait has spent the last 16 years keeping up the thinly veiled illusion that he is a heterosexual man. Erik calls himself a magician. I've got to tell you, making Nick Glaser's forearm disappear does not count. Ladies and gentlemen, Erik Tait.
I have to say I'm moderately to severely drunk because when I looked at my calendar today and realized it was the roast of Brian Doney, I just started at 8 a.m. This is the roast of Brian Doney. This is great. This is an amazing lineup. How did you book this thing, Brian? Did you just put a sign-up list out for the people who got knocked out in the first round of the Funny Bone contest? I have no idea who most of the people on this roast are. I assumed that Chad Jewell was what you named your lightsaber. They say that we only roast the ones we love, which is why in my calendar up to this date, I had it listed as speaking engagement. Let's be clear, by the way, Brian booked this roast. You threw your own roast. Throwing and booking your own roast is the comedic equivalent of being Brian Doney. And I wasn't originally booked on this roast. I'm only here because Dorian Vasquez said he couldn't be here. So Brian decided that a talented white comedian was the equivalent of a loud Mexican comedian. I don't know where Dorian was supposed to be tonight, but I'm sure that wherever that is, you can hear the sound of a drunk hyena cackling at mediocre comedy. I'm glad that Wonder Doug is supposed to be here. He is the reason that they passed laws in Indiana. It's also at this point that I had to write new jokes for this roast because we used all of the good performers during Nick Glaser's roast. I'm glad that Becky Brown could be here. She took some time off from her busy schedule to do her semi-annual comedy set. And Gilli's on the show tonight because that's the closest thing that Brian will ever have to a black friend. Our roast master is Dave Burkey, a man who executes dogs for a living. Natalie, you should keep that in mind in the future when you ask him to put the baby to sleep. By the way, I'm very glad that you chose Ember Ollom to co-roast master tonight. She's also the new host of Comedy at the Mez, which is a brilliant thing. If anybody wants to know how to get booked on one of Brian's shows, just give Danny Stratton a hand job. You went from Dan Loper to Danny Stratton. Way to fuck your way to the bottom. Do you know how sleeping with people to get ahead works, or should we just expect you to throw your own roast in 3 to 6 months? Ember, of course, is having semi-consensual sex with Danny Stratton. A man with a face for podcasts. And Jameson Rogers is on the show. He is 8th for anybody wondering when the smoke break is. Coen, I don't know what you're doing here. By any stretch of the imagination, by any comparison, you compared to anybody else in this room, you have won contests. You work at clubs. What, are you here on a weird work release? What the fuck are you doing? Does Brian have pictures of you shaving Doug while you're wearing a Zentai suit? This is beneath you, Chris. Brian, you are, of course, the man of the hour tonight, and I say man knowing that I'm using that word quite wrongly. Brian, you thin-wristed, sunken-chested, sallow-cheeked, round-shouldered, greasy-haired, pockmarked twat stain. You look like something Paul Rubens coughed up on the set of Mystery Men. In dim lighting, your face reminds Wonder Doug something he burned off of his former lover's taint. Whenever you take the stage, I can hear the collective mental click as every woman in the word thinks, swipe left. Now, a joke from a guy named Malik. I auctioned off a joke during my set. I am the only person who has been able to monetize this show. If Luke Skywalker and Bo Burnham both ran a train on Michael Cera, the love child that'd be shit out would be Brian Doney. Malik paid $25 for me to read this. Which is why we don't see him at open mics very much anymore. I've watched you do comedy for 3 years now, and I was very fortunate to bear witness to your very first time at the Funny Bone, which in the middle of a workshop set, a 30-year veteran of our industry stopped you after you told a joke about you and your girlfriend farting into each other's respective buttholes. Keep in mind, ass scissoring was the best joke in Brian Joney's notebook. Rick Tempesta then gave you advice that everyone else has been telling you for months, which is if you wear a lightsaber on stage, you have to talk about it, otherwise it's distracting. And your response was, oh, I've done a bunch of other gigs and I haven't talked about it, and my career has been going well so far. You use the term career to talk about what you do. It was an amazing moment because you used the term, afterwards he said, where have you gotten your gigs? And you responded, Craigslist. You used the term career and Craigslist in the same breath. It was that moment that I realized that you were the Tommy Wiseau of Columbus comedy. Your sets are to comedy as the room is to cinema, and by that I mean the train wreck that we are all hoping you finally admit to how bad it is. Brian, by the way, wears a lightsaber on stage, and he claims that lightsaber was what he was holding in his hand when he realized he wanted to be a comedian. And I am only forced to assume that the reason his father wears a shirt is because that was the article of clothing he was wearing when he realized his son was a disappointment. You wear a necklace made of paper clips. You wear light-up sneakers. I'm pretty sure you're the only person in the free world who owns cargo pants. It's almost like you and Danny Stratton were divvying up the idiosyncrasies of a suicidal 9th grader, and he got all the good ones. For anybody who hates Brian's writing, Sommer Sterud was his English professor, and if you've heard Brian's writing and also know that Sommer was his professor, then it is proof to me that we pay teachers too much. And I know that tonight you're going to hear from a lot of people about how not funny Brian is, and that is because it's low-hanging fruit, and this lineup needs easy stuff to write about. I don't want to be mean, but I don't think I've actually ever heard you make an audience laugh. The sound of Brian's audience laughing is the same sound as one hand clapping. A lot of people have asked me why Brian has never been booked on my show, The Quiz Box. And by a lot of people, I mean Brian has asked a lot of times why he hasn't been booked on The Quiz Box. And that's because Nikki Winkleman and I have a murder-suicide pact if either of us think that's a good idea. If you've ever listened to Brian's comedy, you know that he works at a gas station. So if you want to know what Brian is going to be doing in 10 years, go visit him at work tomorrow. You've guest hosted the Shrunken Head on a number of occasions because Nick Glaser likes to remind comedians that you don't need talent to be on this stage. Brian, I didn't come here to celebrate you. I came here to remind you that you produced your own fucking roast. Dennis Leary did produce his own roast, but he has half a dozen comedy albums, a couple of HBO specials, a hit show on FX, and the respect of his peers. You have a handful of jokes that if we told them to prisoners at Guantanamo Bay, it would be considered a war crime. If Dave Burkey told your jokes at his office to the dogs there, I'm pretty sure we could get video of a Cairn Terrier tying its own noose. Brian Doney's jokes are so bad that we're not allowed to tell them in the cockpit of a German airliner. Brian Doney's jokes are so bad that when Robin Williams read Brian Doney's blog, he was forced to find a sturdy belt. Brian Doney's jokes are so bad that after listening to his podcast, Michelle Obama was forced to say that Boko Haram can keep our girls. Brian Doney's jokes are so bad that Ian Miller could have written them. Ian, I didn't mean for that joke to be about you. It's a lot of people here suck enough to write Brian's jokes. It's just that when I was writing specific roast jokes about the other roasters, you were so forgettable that I couldn't come up with anything. Brian, it's your 21st birthday, and you've asked me to perform in this show, and I've done it, and I feel like you've enjoyed it. And in a few months, my 30th birthday is coming up, and I would invite you to do something that I would appreciate, that I think you would like to do for my birthday, and that is for you to quit comedy. I want you to destroy your joke book with the same protocols that they use for Ebola victims. I want you to crawl back into whatever supply closet you bought your jewelry from and stop assaulting audiences with your voice. Happy 21st birthday. I hope this is your last one. Good night. And that's how you get the HIV.
Well, goddamn, everybody. But really, I kind of hope you die too. All right, guys, your next roaster is Danny Stratton. You guys, Danny had big dreams of moving off to New York City and hitting stages in the Big Apple. He settled for a basement in Fremont, Ohio with Dan Loper's leftovers. You are the Yoko Ono of Columbus comedy. But Danny, honestly, I'm happy for you. I'm also stuck to this. Now, I'm happy that you found something that you love other than strangling small animals. I assume. Danny, get up here. Hey, everybody, keep it going for Dave, everybody. We're all hoping he's the father.
Gosh. If she's the Yoko, then which one of you are gonna shoot me? Oh my god. Chad Jewell is here, everybody. Chad Jewell, where are you at back there? Oh yeah, that's who you are. Chad Jewell's here, which begs the question, who the hell is Chad Jewell? Becky Brown is here. Becky Brown, where are you at? She's not in here. Becky Brown is here, which begs the question, who the hell is Becky Brown? Who the hell is Becky Brown? Ember, Ollom, my lovely girlfriend, is of course here tonight on stage. Ember, if you don't know, of course has a very specific fetish. The most specific fetish ever. It's for unfunny comedians named Daniel. Yes. Actually, the only reason Ember is my girlfriend is because Dan Loper wouldn't drive 2 hours to see her, and because Nick Glaser's married. And because Brian's even weirder than me. Brian actually recently gave Ember the keys to the nice apartment there they call the Comedy at the Mez. He gave her that show. And it's honestly, it's really like making someone adopt a cancer kid. Where's Gilli? Get Gilli in here. Get him out of here, somebody quick. This joke hinges on him being in the room. Gilli, if you don't know, is on the roast. Gilli is what? You're Native American, correct? Just answer the question like an honest person. What percentage Native American are you, Gilli?
I don't know, man. I don't do numbers.
Okay. Probably better than whatever I had planned. Well, you're 100% what? Cherokee?
I'm 100% American, baby.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, anytime I talk to Gilli, actually, it's the only time I ever think, oh, maybe my ancestors were right. You can go back to smoking now. Brian, on your podcast, you have a character named Rick Creamery. A character this man created because it's him, using a different voice, all under the ruse to get me to go on his podcast just to speak to me as a character. Why? I know it's you. What's wrong with you? It's not really even a joke, I'm just concerned. Brian and Ember here have a lot in common, actually. They're both on stage right now. They both go to Capitol. And they both regret cuddling with Dan Loper. If you've never listened to Brian's podcast, good for you. Brian on his podcast will actually sing the lyrics of songs that he doesn't know that have been submitted by other people because he doesn't know music. We all know you know music, though. I've heard you sing songs. Just admit you know music. Stop lying. It's weird. It's even weirder than not knowing music. All right. This is the part of my set that I call my ace in the hole. I have a little surprise for you, Brian. You didn't know I did this. About a week ago, I contacted a man who lives up in Cleveland now. A man by the name of Chris Paw. Yes. And Chris Paw submitted the next 3-4 jokes. So you're going to be roasted by Chris Paw, a good friend of ours. Yes. The first one is a... What? Oh, okay. It's just distracting. Yeah, so he texted me these jokes and I wrote them down. Here is the first one. Erik Tait loves math equations. Here's one. Chris Hardwick plus magic minus a career equals Erik Tait. Alright, the next one. The Burkeys. Finally an attractive version of the Mosers. The Burkeys are having a baby. Rest in peace, America. That's all the text said. The next one's for Wonder Dog, and God, it might be the best joke anyone wrote for this roast. Wonder Dog got a new dog. They say dogs take on the mood of its owner. So I give that dog 6 months to start trying to fuck every husky that gives it a ride to a bar. Yeah, screwed it up. Sorry, Chris. The last one's, of course, about you. Brian Doney. Brian Doney. He spelled your name wrong. No, he didn't. Brian Doney. Finally, a guy who makes Danny Stratton look like he's had some pussy. Good job, Chris. Brian, you were drinking for the first time tonight. That's like letting an autistic kid just try drinking for the first time. It's exactly like letting an autistic kid try drinking for the first time. Tonight, Brian gets the full comedian experience. Alcoholism and laughs. Here's the thing though, Brian. No amount of laughs are gonna fill the void. None. Your mom's dead, get over it in a healthy way. Brian Doney was 614 Person of the Month, which is the social equivalent to when they let that retarded kid score a touchdown in football. All right, thank you guys so much.
I can't believe that when before this whole thing, I was actually worried I was going to be the only person to make fun of Brian's dead mom. Thank you for restoring my faith in how shitty all of you are. Next roaster, everybody, you saw him earlier, Chris Coen. Chris, your voice just sounds like alcohol. If they did an animated feature film on Wonder Doug's anatomy, you would be his dying liver. You also found out this year that you're going to be a father, and I'm really hoping that we can get a T-ball team together and destroy some futures. Everybody give it up for Chris Coen.
Well, everybody, I'll try to keep it brief because apparently the qualifications to roast tonight are you have zero self-esteem and have done an open mic in the last 14 years in Columbus. That seems to be the case, thus why I'm fucking here. Nick Glaser started the show off very well. I like Nick, he's a great personable guy. Apparently his goal in life is to look like Hacksaw Jim Duggan, but with much less home. I'm excited that Brian actually was able to talk to girls to get some females on the show. I don't know how that fucking happened. I feel bad for you. One thing I will say about all the ladies on tonight's show is they all have more masculine hair than Brian did in January. Even Justin Bieber didn't have that shit that long, Jesus Christ. Of course, Dave and Natalie are here. Like I said, they're expecting a baby, which is exciting news. They are a great example of what happens when two functional alcoholics stay out of prison long enough to fucking have a baby. It's exciting, conjugal visits. Gilli is on the show also. I like Gilli because he is ballsy enough to still rock a ponytail in 2015. That's a strange look. If you got 10 guys with ponytails and asked them if they'd ever sexually assaulted anyone, 7 would say no, and then they'd hit you over the head and throw you in their van. I'm actually pretty disappointed that Wonder Doug's not here tonight, because if you make eye contact with him as a straight man, he'll sext you on Facebook like you're sitting on the couch with your pregnant wife later, so that's fun. That is great. Let's get to Doney. Doney is a weird dude, to put it mildly. I'm not much on Twitter, or I'm not funny enough to have anyone follow me. I had one tweet that got the most retweets ever, but the second one was the first night I saw Doney. I immediately got on my phone and said, "There's some maniac on stage with a lightsaber on his hip," and of course he didn't say a goddamn word about it. And why would you? Because everyone fucking wears one. And he never said a word about it. It's bizarre. He's 21 and listens to no music and hasn't drank until tonight. Isn't that amazing? He might as well just directly tell everyone he's addicted to masturbation. There is zero fucking reason not to drink or listen to music. I love Doney because I run a workshop at the Rehab Tavern. I call it a workshop because no one shows up, so I have to call it something. It's definitely not a fucking comedy show. But I love Doney because he is constantly writing new material that has a lot of potential, and then he takes that material and adds 4 minutes of dullery to it and fucks it all up. So congratulations there. I did read your blog though about why you didn't drink until you were 21, and that was very touching. It was a pretty sad story about how your mom missed your 11th birthday from getting drunk. And that was a really sad thing to read. In her defense, little Brian probably was like, "Hey mom, for my birthday, I'm gonna do some stand-up." And she was like, "I'm getting 2 boxes of